Hello, this is Alice today, and I'm going to be talking about how to make your online life easier. Right, first of all, I'd like to emphasise that using social media is only for social purposes. There are lots of people who don't understand social media, and quite a lot of businesses as well, who think it's a great place to promote. It's not. It is somewhere where you have to be sociable, and it's all about creating relationships, making new friends, finding out about other people, giving rather than receiving, but generally being altruistic and enthusiastic towards other people you find on there, rather than pushing what you've got in your products and your services in order to make money. That all comes a bit later. You don't do it on social media. So if I said down here, it requires you getting your followers, friends and contacts who may or may not be your customers to know, like and trust you more. And also once they understand what you're all about, because you've done all this sharing and giving and stuff like that, then they in turn will come round and share, recommend and refer you and what you say on social media to other potential customers and or readers, preferably both. Right, frequency versus consistency. How often you socialise with your followers depends on these factors. Which platform you're using. Now, if you're using Twitter, it's a totally different kind of social networking site because it's so fast moving. A tweet can barely last seconds before it's lost, certainly if you've got lots of followers. So because it's moving so fast, it doesn't matter how many times you update it, how many times you mention your posts, how many times you put some statements up or give advice or say something helpful and forthcoming and worthwhile, because in a few, certainly in a few minutes, it will be all lost. Unless, of course, people are collecting it, but I'll talk about it a bit later. So it doesn't matter if you put your post up in lots of different ways and lots of different times and lots of days, because nobody's going to get upset about it. Whereas if you're using Facebook or LinkedIn and other places, when you post on there, it sticks around. It's there for much longer. So therefore, it's not a good idea to keep repeating yourself because it may upset people. And of course, because it sticks around, it's much better place for you to have a discussion and a conversation there before you start promoting your posts, to also to encourage the know, like and trust factor of the people that regularly attend those groups. Now, repetition and duplication. I've written here that Google penalises duplication in written content, and that is because that's what these spiders, the search engine robots, are programmed to do. They're programmed to read and find words. Whereas all the other media, like videos and podcasts and pictures and whatnot, are not so easily found and can even be invisible to the search engine spiders. They go on words and tags and keywords and things like that. So you can reproduce your posts in different media and formats, like videos and podcasts and whatnot, to attract different audiences who obviously respond to different kinds, whether they respond in audio or they respond in visual formats. And so you are not going to get penalised at all by consistently reproducing your posts to catch different audiences. Now, spam alert. It's very important for you to be aware that you can easily be seen as a spammer, even though you're not on social media, if you don't do things correctly. So I've written here, duplication, insistent repetition, limited content of no value, overuse of links within the content, links going to dubious destinations. All this could have put you forward as being spam. And it's all very much, what I mean by links going to dubious destinations, if you're linking from one place to another place and it's not relevant, that's considered to be suspicious and could be vastly used as spam. So, vary the content you produce to promote your blog. So I mean that by how you promote it, how you talk about it, how you present it should be varied in different ways. Consider other readers who may not be interested in your blog, because if you do too much posting, certainly on Facebook and LinkedIn and Google Plus and all that, where what you say hangs around for much longer, if you do too much and you do on too many different kinds of similar groups where you're going to get multitudes of people, they see your posts up there a lot, they're going to get annoyed. It's best to limit and carefully select how you promote and talk about your posts there. So being aware how long your content is visible. As I said, it sticks around for much longer on the Facebook and LinkedIn and Google Plus groups. So allow enough time in between before you repeat your promotional activities or even adapt it slightly. So maybe a couple of days grace is perfectly adequate for them to realise it's something else you're talking about. You're not talking about the same thing. And of course there are exceptions. Twitter, you can promote your post as many times you like, because it's so fast moving. You're not going to upset anybody by doing it anything up to 10 times a day, sometimes even more. Now, automation via RSS. What is RSS? It's called really simple syndication. And syndication is when something is published elsewhere immediately when it's published in its original format. For example, if my post is published on my blog, it will automatically appear, because of RSS, in any of my social media platforms I've allowed it to appear there. Or it can appear with your permission on somebody else's post if they're a syndicating blog. And sometimes that can be quite beneficial because you get other people to read your posts, a much bigger audience. So RSS also allows subscribers to receive email notifications of when you publish your latest post. And the way to do that is to sign up to a FeedBurner or a FeedBlitz account, or use a Jetpack plugin, which gives you the necessary form to allow people to subscribe, and then they will send that to the people's email addresses that they subscribe to, so they can actually get your post every time it's published, and they don't have to keep going back to your blog to find out what's happening. It's also, RSS allows the social media buttons to work. I will talk about it a bit later. And also any other sharing applications that happen on your blog. And also it allows your links to come up into your sidebar listings. You know, when you have that listing in the sidebar, your latest blog posts come up in the list. And it also allows your blog to be shown in reader sites such as feedly.com. Now, talked about sharing buttons a bit earlier. Now, you probably noticed at the bottom of all the posts there are these social sharing buttons which allow you to tell all the people in your social media profiles that they've got to go and read this wonderful post you've just been reading. And that's what hopefully you want to get all your readers do the same to their social media site of your wonderful posts. And that's why you place those social sharing buttons either underneath your posts, or you can have them floating at the side, like this one is here. There are various plugins that allow you to do this on your blog. Some of them have different shapes and sizes and different formats you can add to. So it's best to have a look and see which one you prefer. And RSS also allows you to bring up other social networking sites into your blog, as you can see from my Twitter feed here, or you can do Facebook feeds and things like that to show what's happening on your social media on your blog, so people can come along and immediately see what's going on and then want to go to your social media sites to see the real stuff that's going on there. Right. Now, obviously, if you're a really good blogger, you should be reading a lot of stuff, and that includes other blogs. So what's important is that you should therefore keep up to date with what's going on to obviously make your posts more interesting. Because if you read extensively, you'll gain more knowledge, get more inspiration for your ideas, for what you write about, and keep up to date, especially if your blog is related to the news and other trendy events that's going on. Now, you can access your relevant blogs in your industry or niche through the readers or syndicated sites. And the RS also helps you to send you and or to deliver to you what's going on other blogs. For example, I mentioned earlier that Feedly.com is an RSS reader site where you can find out what's going on. And there's lots of others too, if you keep your eye open and your ears open to find out what's going on. Pocket.com is one I love using. If I ever come across a post that I really think is very interesting, but I haven't got time to read it right there and then, I pop it into my Pocket. It's a little app that goes on top of my either of my computer or even on my iPad, and it allows me then to store that post away in my Pocket file. And whenever I've got time, like sitting on a train, going down to see my mother, I open up my Pocket in my iPad and I read all the posts I've stored up there recently. It's absolutely brilliant. And a Scoop It is another way of what they call curation, which allows you to collect other people's very interesting and totally relevant posts in your niche or your subject, and then to share it around. Now, this curation or sharing of other people's posts is very good for part of your social aspect, social sharing, and the know, like, and trust factor of people getting to realise that you know what you're talking about and you're willing to share and to comment and to be enthusiastic about other people's blogs. And of course, the more you're enthusiastic about other people's blogs, then they will then in turn become enthusiastic about yours. Right. Bookmarking is another kind of social networking. It's actually quite difficult to do, but it's worthwhile having a look at and considering. And if you actually manage to crack it, you can get some very good returns. The most normal ones, of course, are Dig, StumbleUpon, and Reddit. And here you can submit your posts to get to read other readers. However, there is a technique to do before you start to be successful here. You have to give before you receive. In other words, you have to start being nice to lots of other people before they would in turn to be nice to you. So the suggestion is that you start to read other blogs in your industry, niche, or in your interest, and obviously to gain more knowledge, news and resources, which can help your blogs as well. That's an added bonus. But by doing that, if you find people that are worthwhile doing it, you can provide helpful, constructive comments on them, which shows that you have read their post and you appreciate it and you think that they therefore should have some feedback. Obviously, if there's social buttons around, then you share those also on your social media platforms so they can get more practice and more publicity and more audiences. And by doing this, by showing that you've read it and showing that you've shared it, you're forming a relationship with those particular authors. And if they're worth their salt, they will then come back and do the same to you. So when you actually get round to submitting your post on these bookmarking communities, the people you've been communicating with and being so nice and kind to them will come along and read your post as well. And the kind you have been to them, hopefully they will be exactly the same and reciprocate exactly the same with their comments and sharing it among their contacts. And that's how you go up in the world and get better. Now, this is another side of understanding how social media works, and we've got here a selection of tools that makes it easier for you to cope with understanding how you can keep abreast and on top of what's going on in social media, because social media can be quite overwhelming sometimes with this activity. So I'm going to talk to you first of all about Hootsuite. Now, Hootsuite.com is the most commonly used platform. I personally don't like it, but a lot of people do. It allows you to keep an eye on what's happening in your social media sites, on your Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, Google Plus, and stuff like that, all in one place, rather than you keep hopping over from one to the other. And the activity is presented in columns, as you can see, they're columns here, or streams, because they keep moving down as new stuff keeps coming up. In other words, they work in real time. And while you're working in real time, you can see what's happening all the time. New stuff is coming up. And also it allows you to comment and share and like and things like that accordingly whenever it comes up. And it's very important to be aware of working things in real time whenever you have to be on your Hootsuite and keeping an eye on what's going on. Now, the alternative for that is something I prefer, and I do a lot of stuff on Twitter, and that's called TweetDeck. TweetDeck.com is like Hootsuite.com, and I prefer it, but it's up to you to have a try and see what you like. They're both free to set up, certainly for limited amounts of interaction. Now, TweetDeck is definitely free. It also shows stream columns, again, in real time. The new stuff comes in and pushes the old stuff down, so you can see what's always happening right now. And also within TweetDeck, you can segregate what's happening with your followers. Now, you can either put them into lists, which means that whenever they pop up and do a posting, it pops into your list. So it means you can keep an eye on those specific ones rather than all the general ones that are going on the left-hand side really fast and really difficult to cope with. And you can also keep an eye on hashtags. Now, that also means if anybody puts a particular hashtag or particular keyword into their tweets, it will come up into another stream, and you can keep an eye on what's going on with anybody who mentions that particular keyword. So it might be relevant to what you want to keep an eye on in your social media. Now, it also, part of this collecting and reading and sharing and what's called curation, it's all about finding interesting posts and sharing them on social media, rather than, as with my Pocket app, putting them away for yourself. You may want to share them with everybody else. And the best tool to use is called Buffer.com. This is a brilliant tool. It allows you to share anything you like, but you can schedule it when it goes out. So it doesn't have to go out all at once when you're sitting there having a quiet time reading lots of lovely juicy posts. You can then say, I want to send this out at lunchtime, when I'm more likely to know that the people who will be interested in this will be on Twitter or Facebook or whatever you choose. And the best time to find out the optimum time when you know your readers and your followers are more likely to be online is to use another tool called Twiriad.com. And Twiriad.com is a great place to find out when you are more likely and your followers are more likely to be online, to be around to read your posts. And you'd be surprised, actually, when they are. They're not when you think they are. So have a play with Twiriad and see what pops up, and you'll be very interested to find out the results. And finally, I will talk to you about SocialOomph.com. It's an alternative also to Hootsuite.com, which can be used not only to monitor what's going on in your social media files, but also to schedule when you put out your tweets and your updates on various other platforms. I use SocialOomph for my tweets, but you can use Hootsuite also for your Facebook and your LinkedIn and stuff like that. And the reason why I schedule when I put my tweet updates out is because when I found out from Twiriad.com that, as I said, they're all hanging around reading most of my stuff at, say, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I will do a bunch of scheduled tweets that go out at that time, and you're more likely to catch, for example, if you're into mothers, you want them to come out just before end of school picking up time, when they're sitting in the playground, got there a bit early, and they go and look on their Twitter feed to see what's happening. and then you can bombard them. Well, not say bombard them, but you can offer them, you can present to them, you can make available to them a quick succession of your most exciting blog posts that you want them to read. And again, you can do that either early in the morning, either on the commute, or 10 o'clock when they're having their coffee break, or lunchtime when they've digested their sandwich, or in the evening before they go to bed. And Tweeted will let you know when that happens, and SocialOomph will allow you to schedule it accordingly. Now, those are the various tools that we're going to tell you about that will make your online life a bit easier. You don't have to use them all at once, but it's a good idea that you know about them so you can decide which ones are the right ones for you, and you can go ahead and have a play and see if any of them like you. And my advice is to find one or possibly two that will make your life easier so you can start enjoying using social media to start promoting your posts and to find more readers. Thank you, and speak to you again soon. Bye.